I swear to God, if this woman changes her mind again about marrying Max, I will scream. Hey, I'm Bridgette and I'm back. As most of you know, the last episode got on my last good nerve. So let's see what Lorelai Gilmore has in store for me this week. Let's get straight into the messy recap. If you're out on the road. Lorelai gets ready for her upcoming nuptials by using everybody in sight, including this poor old lady and her cake business and Kirk's new venture as a photographer. She also insists on her teenage daughter and her boyfriend coming on a double date with her and Max. Taylor installs a traffic light outside Luke's diner without informing Luke, and Luke throws some paper at Taylor's head. Lorelai can barely give Max the keys to her house and makes no attempt to let him into her life, and Max cusses her out for it. Lorelai has a bachelorette party at an iconic drag night, and Michelle invites Emily. Lorelai calls up deadbeat dad because she's a dingbat, and also to let him know that she's marrying Max. Lorelai finally decides, after all that wahala, she does not even want to marry Max, and I am done.
I'm so tired, child. I'm so tired. I'm really tired.
So it looks like the Gilmore girls are going on a long trip after Lorelai's shocking, but actually not that shocking, decision to not marry Max. They legit don't know where they're heading. And as usual, Rory takes up the mantle of being an adult and trying to successfully navigate, whilst Lorelai is worried about the playlist and the tunes.
No.
Lorelai, unsurprisingly, just wants to aimlessly drive around anywhere, anything to stop her from actually facing her life's decisions. So first they stop off at some sort of nut farm and they go nuts buying a load of nuts, and then they get back in the car and get back on the road. And Lorelai decides to call Matt Suki. So not the guy you're supposed to be marrying. You didn't think to give him a heads up. You're calling Suki instead. Cool, gotcha. Obviously, that would require having brain cells and a heart. So not only is Lorelai a runaway bride, she's also not showed up for work at the inn. Suki is understandably baffled when Lorelai casually tells her that the wedding is off. The wedding that was supposed to be this weekend. And also, what do you mean Suki spent hours on catering for your event only to be told that it's off?
The engagement is off, Suki.
What? What happened?
Well, it's a long story.
It's not really a long story. You simply decided you did not want to get married and skip town. That was kind of it. And the award for Friend of the Year goes to Suki. Or perhaps she should get Enabler of the Year because she done made a whole big ass cake.
Good. I know the kind of work you were going to put into it, and I just would have killed myself if you'd gone all that craziness for nothing.
I couldn't help but wonder.
Who in Lorelai's life tells her about herself? And then I remembered Emily. Thank God for Emily Gilmore. Also, another day, another cute sous chef sleigh. Again, Suki swapped Jackson out for this guy. So instead of doing the decent thing and Lorelai calling around people who've probably bought gifts, bought outfits for the wedding, she instead tells Suki to tell Miss Patty so that Miss Patty can spread it around Stars Hollow instead, shirking her responsibilities again.
We see each other. We see each other.
So Rory's busy reading the map and she lets Lorelai know that they're kind of headed towards a place called Portsmouth. And Lorelai's like, oh, I've actually got a random friend who lives there called Donald. As if this bitch has any other friends. Anyway, he owns a B&B. And for some reason, the Gilmore girls have a real problem with B&Bs or bed and breakfast, even though Lorelai manages an inn. Anyway, the girls pull up to the chintziest place we've ever seen, and it's called the Cheshire Cat, and honestly, it serves Lorelai right. The woman on reception is kind of hard to make out because she sort of blends in with the furniture and with the wallpaper. She's also, a bit kooky and asks Lorelai if she wants to ring the bell as though that's some sort of novelty prize, but she's cute, kind of. So it turns out that Donald, Lorelai's non-friend, no longer owns the B&B as of last year and has actually sold it to this woman. The woman takes their bags to show them their roof, and Rory and Lorelai have to step over this cat, and Rory fat shames the cat.
Wowzy, wowza.
That's either Sammy or the cat that ate Sammy.
Okay, so this room is kind of wacko, but lest we forget, Lorelai's house is hardly an Architectural Digest dream. The B&B lady asks Lorelai what she does for a living, and because Lorelai doesn't want to tell her that she works in an inn, she just makes up a lie and says she works in publishing.
The lies! There you go, this bitch. The lies.
So the girls head out to get some food because they're starving, but then before they could get to the bottom of the stairs, they stumble across what I can only describe as what looks like a scene from Rosemary's Baby when they're welcoming Satan into the world. Sorry if you haven't seen the film and that was a spoiler, but you have had almost 60 years to watch it. They hang back because they don't really want to be fraternizing with the local people.
This is a local shop for local people.
And they head back upstairs. The Gilmore girls also state what we've always thought that they thought about themselves.
We get cranky when we're hungry.
Well, plus, we're above everyone else on the planet.
Clearly.
Okay, so the girls are bored and hungry, and Rory tries to get Lorelai to actually speak about the situation with Max. But as usual, Lorelai refuses, and like a child, she just gets under the covers and is like, night, night. May I add, she gets under the covers in her fucking jeans.
I think you're a sick woman. To do something like that is sick.
And again, I say, never in an African household. Rory is trying to get Lorelai to open up to the fact that maybe she was just scared. She got wedding jitters. She does really love Max. But Lorelai just completely shuts it down. She just keeps changing the rules. 1 minute, Rory's her best friend who she tells everything to. And the next, it's like, oh no, I'm the parent and what I say goes. Well, act like it then. And Rory is justifiably angry because she had just gotten used to the fact that her teacher was going to be her stepdaddy. So having gone to bed with no supper, the Gilmore girls wake up and apparently they've already gotten over their fight. So they realise that there's a break in the schedule that the B&B runs, and they sneak downstairs to try to get past the owner, but nope. The other guests are there watching hummingbirds out the window, and they invite the Gilmore girls to sit down with them and chat. Obviously, at first, the Gilmore girls are like, oh, no, we just want to leave. But then they realise that there's food on the table. And so obviously, with their greedy asses, they sit down and they shovel those scones into their mouth like it's the last meal they'll ever have. So remember Lorelai lied about the line of work that she was in? Well, some of the guests sit down and try to have a talk with her about publishing. So now Lorelai's stuck with trying to come up with book titles off the top of her head. And I have to say that she does actually do a good job at it. But I don't know if that's a compliment because it just means she's good at lying. But then she can't keep the lie up, and so she makes an excuse that she has to make an important work call. And she leaves Rory there to suffer these people. What kind of mother stroke friend is Lorelai? So she calls Suki again, and it's bordering on being a stalker now. And Suki's in Luke's diner. Unfortunately, Miss Patty spreading the news to Stars Hollow hasn't quite gotten to Luke yet because apparently he's been a loner, presumably because he's fucking depressed over the fact that the woman that he loves is marrying somebody else. And then Lorelai demands that Suki just tell Luke now. Now, admittedly, Luke does not look very sad to hear the news. In fact, he's considerably chirpy and offers everybody in the diner coffee on the house. Sorry, why is this guy spreading jam on the scone like that? Is he okay? Anyway, finally, Lorelai gets off the phone and comes to rescue Rory from the dry brigade, and they try and figure out where they're going to go next. Lorelai suddenly has a plan. They end up at Harvard, Rory's dream school. Rory is so overwhelmed at the sight of Harvard that she can't even bring herself to possibly enter the hallowed halls of Harvard. But Lorelai's like, no, we should go in and see what it's going to be like when you get here. And honestly, the presumption.
So you're saying? That I know. So you're saying? That I know. So you're saying?
So they walk around and Lorelai's regaling Rory with stories of Harvard graduates, and then they stop to get some coffee. And of all the cute Harvard girlies walking around at the campus, this one guy who practically only sees the back of Lorelai hits on her and mistakes her for a Harvard student. Obviously, Lorelai being Lorelai goes along with it, and I absolutely cannot.
I pray to Jesus every day. I think he'd throw me a bone. I just need a bone, you know?
So Rory gets a boner overseeing the Harvard library, and then she has a freak out because she hasn't had time to read all the books that Harvard has to offer. It's like, girl.
Child. Anyway, So
rule breaker cool mum Lorelai decides that they should break into the halls of residence, and goody two-shoes Rory has to be dragged along to do it. They bump into two students in the halls, and Lorelai is still keeping up her bit. And she's like, yeah, oh my God, see you at the keg, or whatever she says. And the students that she bumps into are like confused as hell because why are you talking to us?
Huh? What? Oh. Okay.
Lorelai then takes it upon herself to break into somebody's dorm room and sit on some random person's bed and manhandle their belongings. Zero shame, zero boundaries.
Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
Then she even goes as far as taking a picture of Rory at a random person's desk. A mess. So they walk past the lecture theatre and Rory decides to sneak in whilst Lorelai goes to look for the toilet. Sorry, but I looked it up and the tuition fees at Harvard were about $23,000, and you think you have the right to sit in on a lecture for free? Lorelai simply cannot focus on the task at hand, the task of finding the toilet, and she comes across this wall of sort of Hall of Famers of people who've come before. And for some reason, she takes a weird interest in this Harvard graduate. Are you jealous of her? So apparently baby genius Rory decides to speak up in the lecture, which not not one fee-paying student asked for. Rory is gassed at making a basic observation about stoicism. Now, I didn't go to a fancy school, but even I know the basics of stoicism.
Since you got your degree and you know every fucking thing.
The comment she makes, it's not that great. But Rory leaves the lecture feeling like baby Einstein, and she's eager to boast about the comments that she made in the lecture to Lorelai, who seems less than enthused. So back at the bed and breakfast, and the ladies helping the girls with their bags, and they're wondering where the cat's got to. The bed and breakfast lady's like, oh, the cat's never on the stairs. And Rory are like, no, the cat definitely was on the stairs. And the woman's like, no, the cat's never there. And honestly,
I love it.
let the Gilmore girls think they're going mad. They deserve it. So they head back on the road to Stars Hollow with an entire car full of Harvard memorabilia, even though Rory has not got into that school yet and it's 2 years from now. And I'm hoping Lorelai's going back so she can face the music, but it's very doubtful. So they arrive back through the town and everyone's giving them pitying looks like somebody died. Not the white hanky, Miss Patty. So they get to the house and the chuppah is still on the lawn. I swear to God, if this woman changes her mind again about marrying Max, I will scream.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
They're at Friday night dinner and Lorelai is giving Emily Gilmore a slideshow presentation of their trip to Harvard that nobody asked for. The slides are a dud and she's also taken a decade to get through them, which is obviously annoying for Emily.
Today drained me.
Emily is wondering why on earth they chose this weekend before the wedding to go on a trip to Harvard. And Lorelai starts acting all coy and is about to tell her when Emily just assumes that her and Max have eloped. Emily is beside herself, and honestly, I don't blame her because that's absolutely something that Lorelai would do. But finally, Lorelai tells her that the wedding is off, and honestly, Emily Gilmore reacts better than I would. Lorelai assumes that Emily's going to go in on her, and instead, Emily's just like, who wants ice cream? But she does also say that Lorelai will now not be receiving the wedding gift that she got for her.
Shame. Shame.
Guess who's back again.
Lane! I actually squealed. If I have to put up with Lorelai Gilmore in these episodes, then the least they could do is let Lane stay. Lane actually had a decent time in career, and I'm so happy for her. Lorelai heads to Luke's, and honestly, if she hits on him, I will murder her. Luke apologizes to Lorelai for being a jerk to Max, and honestly, he has nothing to apologize for. Lorelai says she's going to keep the chuppah, which is a choice. And then she's telling Luke about their road trip and finally admits that she actually didn't enjoy being at Harvard because she never got to go somewhere like that herself. And then decides she's going to open up the inn with Suki. From one big decision to another, I guess. I swear to God, if she changes her mind about opening this inn with Suki, she's finished round here.
I said what I said.
Luke even offers to help her go over the finances for the inn, and honestly, he's just one of the best people that ever walked this earth. Lane, ever the amazing friend, lets Rory wax lyrical about her stupid trip to Harvard. Once again, Lorelai stalks Suki, calls Suki, and lets her know that she is now ready to open the inn. Now that she's blown up Max's life, she's ready for a new adventure. Rory, up you come. You have had to put up with your insufferable mum and her terrible decisions. Lorelai, sorry girl, but down you come. You took a random road trip, was jealous of your child, and couldn't even find it in your heart to call Max and apologise for leaving him at the altar. Suki, you're too good for this world, let alone Lorelai. Emily, up you come, my queen. You barely flinched when your daughter made another one of her ridiculous life decisions. Luke, honestly, you, my man, are off the charts. Generous to a fault and still my man. This episode had me fuming at Lorelai all the way throughout, but what's new there?
Sometimes the world looks perfect. Nothing new.
I don't want her to get with Luke because she is not somebody that can be trusted. Anyway, join me next week for more shenanigans. Until then, okay, bye.